Okay, we are standing by with Sandy Ernie. She's a researcher with Natural Resources Canada, and today we're going to be talking about the effects of communities in the boreal forest of fire suppression efforts. Now, I have not heard of this issue before, so Sandy, if you could just tell me about this study and how it came about.
Okay, so in fact, we have evaluated the state of our forest in terms of age over the boreal forest. Why the age of the forest is so important in terms of fire risk is because young forests, so recently burned forests, they don't burn well again. For the first, depends on the species, but for the first 30, 40 years, so when you have got a fire and a young forest, you're close of your community, you are kind of protected to have a new fire for the next decade. The issue we have had a very aggressive fire suppression over the last decades in Canada. You know, it was a good decision at that time because we need to protect our communities, we need to protect people, but we have suppressed all the fires, even the maybe, the not too intense fire, which could have cleaned the forest. So our study is just we have evaluated this proportion of old forest around our communities and compared those proportions to the overall region. And for a lot of communities, unfortunately, we have found that we have got a high proportion of old forests over their boundaries, which can mean a higher fire risk.
Okay, so what's being done now that the study has been completed? I mean, what would be some of the steps going forward to mitigate some of these risks?
So, in fact, I would say the good news is because we have evaluated decades. But the good news is a lot of things have started already years ago in terms of fire management, fire suppression. For example, in Ontario, I think the province of Ontario is a very good example of this new stage of fire management. Instead of just having zones where we suppress all the fire, doesn't matter who is the fire and how it behaves. No, it's more to assess the best fire suppression strategy depending on each fire. So that's what they call an appropriate response. And I think that's what we have to do, just to think for each fire, okay, should we suppress it or let it burn? You know, the balance between benefits or risk. And on, I think that the main things that we highlighted in our study, it's definitively our results showed the importance of having fire suppression, but merged with mitigation strategies over our community. So it means being more proactive in terms of fire risk.
You might have already touched on it, but is there any sort of benefit to forests or ecosystems when it comes to fire? Because
Yeah, oh
obviously
yeah.
they're not all human caused, but is there any kind of benefit to say a naturally caused forest fire?
That's a very good point, yes, that I didn't mention. In fact, if you talk about the boreal forest, you talk about fires. Its fires are completely necessary for the regeneration of our forest, the biodiversity, the good health of our boreal forest. So we really, really need fires. The issue is we have got communities in the boreal forest. So it's all time having a good balance between the ecological role of forest fires and our communities, the safety and the security of our communities. But you are right, it's we need the fires in the boreal forest, otherwise no fire, no boreal forest.
So, if our viewers wanted to get a look at this study in its entirety, is there a website that they can go to look at the
Yeah,
entire
you
study?
can absolutely. I have to check. I think you can just access to the journal. So it's a Nature communication.
Okay, so but it is out there, right? I mean, the full study, if you can find it, I mean, it is
Yes,
accessible to just
absolutely.
everybody.
And if
Okay.
needed, I can send it to people who want to read it.
All right, excellent. So Sandy Ernie, researcher with Natural Resources Canada, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us today to talk about this topic.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Take care.
Have a good day.